Do you think it's time for radical changes in education? Well, with everything that's gone on lately, it looks like that's about to happen. Hello, I'm Samantha from Learning Success, and this video is about what the future of education might look like. We know that parents are very concerned about education today. Education is at a pivotal point. So, we've gathered education experts and parents and asked them what they'd like to see happen for the future of education. We are gathering the best ideas to help guide education as it adapts to the world today. And maybe, together, we can build the best education system ever. In today's video, we have Meredith Essalat. Meredith is a K-8 school principal in San Francisco, California, whose career in academia has spanned over 17 years. She is also the author of the upcoming book, The Overly Honest Teacher. Let's see what changes Meredith would like to see in education.
What is the fall going to look like for elementary and middle school students? The only thing that I can say with 100% certainty is that it's going to look very different than the school that they left before the shelter-in-place occurred back in March. But I will say that I don't necessarily think that different in this case is going to be bad. But it is our job as educators, as school communities, to make sure that we make the abnormal feel normal, that we make what is not routine become routine, because our students really rely on us to be a source of stability. They rely on us to be a source of comfort. They rely on us to be a place that they can rely on. And so it's really, really important that as teachers and as administrators, we seek to make sure that the qualities of our academic community, the qualities of our school itself, resonate with our kids, whether they are on campus or they are away from campus doing distance learning. For my school community, one of those examples is our school creed. And we used to say it every morning together at morning assembly, the entire school community, in one place. And that's not going to be the reality in the fall. So I'm finding ways that we can have our students say the creed at home and at school so that they feel that sense of being together, they feel that sense of normalcy. And I think that all academic communities owe it to their students and to their families to make sure that they maintain those traditions, they maintain those cornerstones of what make them unique. Because schools are going to look very different. The physical plant of a school is going to be very different. Drinking fountains are going to turn into water bottle filling stations. School supplies are not going to be shared. We have to find overt ways to make sure that our students understand the importance of sharing without actually having them give each other supplies. Desks are going to be 6 feet apart. There is likely going to be smaller groups of students together, so they may not be with their friends that after 12 weeks of shelter in place and after a long summer vacation separated, they were looking forward to. So we need to make sure that they understand that while it may feel emotionally sad for them to not be with their friends day in and day out right now, we are looking out for their physical bodies. We have to keep their bodies healthy in order to help their minds to grow. PE, recess, lunchtime. These are all systems that school communities have relied upon to just go about their usual business, and yet nothing about this is business as usual. I think one of the exciting things about recess and PE, for example, is that the diminishment of students being able to use the equipment that they normally would rely upon for free time and free play, basketballs, soccer balls, jump ropes, hula hoops, for example. Students now are going to really have to go back to ingenuity. They are going to have to go back to relying on their imaginations to create play scenarios where they can run and interact with classmates in their particular cohort, but without relying upon a football to be the purpose of their recess or their PE class time. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the reinvigoration, if you will, of imagination and imaginative play. I do think that in distance learning, our students' creativity can still be tapped. I think that distance learning is going to provide a great time for schools to offer classes that would normally be in a large group setting, but instead be in smaller cohorts and help those kids feel like they're interacting with their classmates, but they're also getting to really tap into their creative brains. So art, for example, or music classes that can be offered via Zoom or another web conferencing platform, I think is a great way to really target students who are away from campus while the other half of their class and that cohort is on campus receiving instruction from their teachers. But it is also essential that teachers make sure that outside of the arts, that they are making sure that the students who are doing work at home, that their questions are being answered, that their needs are being met. And if school communities have the luxury of having a teacher's aide, for example, or a larger staff, having those teachers oversee the distance learning platform is a great, great way to target those students and to draw them into community and helping them feel as though they're part of a daily discussion. I do think that the shelter in place, the school closures, the onset of distance learning has really helped academic communities pivot towards the benefits that come from online learning, towards the benefits that come from adaptive academic platforms. Our school community has relied on these for almost close to a decade, but I do think that schools that were a bit more reticent or schools that didn't feel that they had the access to technology that they needed finally were able to take the plunge and realize that even from a distance, these online platforms could help them build out an individualized educational framework that every one of our students deserves. All of our students deserve. They are entitled to have their needs met exactly where they are in their academic journeys. And the combination of in-person instruction as well as online learning helps to truly bridge that gap. It really is blended learning in that case. And I think that that's a really exciting pivot for all academic communities during the shelter in place. I also think that the distance learning, this hybrid model that we are having to embrace, is really going to be a great catalyst for social and emotional development. Our students are going to be in a place of vulnerability. Our students are going to be craving that interaction with one another. And this is a great time for us to help to bolster their communication skills, because no longer can they show, or at least temporarily, they can't show their celebration for one another or their appreciation for one another with a high five or a hug. We have to now work on how do you express your friendship with somebody else with a wink and a high five and with a wave, and get away from the high fives that they're accustomed to. And really targeting our students in terms of helping to draw them into community when they're at points of feeling isolated, when they're in points of feeling alone. I really do think that broadening the scope of our social and emotional learning, especially in the times of distance learning, can be a really great opportunity for school communities to build out their framework of the educational offerings that they bring to their students. We do need parents. It is essential for us to have the partnership and the teamwork with our parent community. And I have to say, on behalf of educators everywhere, I am so grateful for how parents stepped up so quickly and embraced homeschooling. It was not easy, but it really shows what can come from collaboration and camaraderie and the community and the fellowship that can develop from that. And I really hope that even after homeschooling is a distant memory, that the teamwork that we have built with our parent community remains. But during the summer months, parents can really work to make their home environment an even richer learning environment for their students. Having a designated workspace, making sure that students have access to the supplies that they need, making sure that it's a quiet space. It's one where they have a sense of privacy, a sense of where they can really truly focus on their academics. And obviously we need our parents to keep checking in on them, because we don't want YouTube to overtake their time on their online learning platforms. However, it is really important to have a designated space where a student feels like this is my school environment and this is where I'm going to get my learning done for today. Additionally, I think parents need to evaluate their access to technology. Is their Wi-Fi sufficient? Are their devices in their household working to help their students be academically successful at home? And if the answer is no, then I am asking for our families to communicate with school communities. It is our job to make learning accessible. And if that is a struggle at home, if that is a struggle during distance learning, then schools need to step in. We have an obligation to do so. Additionally, I think that this is a great starting point for parents to communicate with their students' incoming teacher. Who are they going to have in the fall? Where are they planning on starting their curriculum, and how can parents help to backfill any gaps that existed either before the shelter in place or during the shelter in place when maybe a lesson or two just fell through the cracks. This summer is a perfect opportunity to take a break, because everybody has earned one, but to also really instill in students a love and a fervor for reading, to have conversations around the books and the stories that your children are reading, to play word games, to build their vocabulary, to do math facts, and to do estimation games. And on top of all of that, to make sure that you are having your kids write and write and write and write. Have them write about their feelings, write about their thoughts, write about their ideas, come up with creative stories. It really is an opportunity to extend learning from the school year into next school year, and to keep their mind muscles flexing all throughout the summer months. We're going to get through this. We just have to work on it together to make sure that we surmount this challenge.
Thank you, Meredith, for that generous sharing. We just hope all our teaching community will be as optimistic as you are. You're seeing the silver lining of the new education system. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to share it on social media. Use the hashtag #FutureOfEducation. Education is going to change. Let's make sure it changes for the better.